the Fan3Cast, dishing out the hottest NASCAR news and views while celebrating the Three's historic comeback. Here are your hosts, Michael Metzger and Jason Schultz.
Welcome back, everyone. We've made it 4 weeks? 3 weeks? 4 weeks?
I think about 4. The season's been flying by. Hard to believe that we've been doing 4 shows in the 2014 season.
I know, we're already past, there's so much anticipation for Daytona that once you kind of get past Daytona, it's like a giant snowball that just gets pushed down a cliff.
And we're already heading to the third race weekend this season. It just seems like Daytona ended yesterday, and Dale Hunt Jr. was tweeting selfies yesterday, but it's been like 2 weeks now, so it's just pretty surprising.
Yeah, it's, although he hasn't really toned it down, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So, Jason, we're going to start with the profit on CNBC 500 from the Phoenix International Raceway. That was, I believe, a pretty interesting Phoenix race. I know a lot of people were on Twitter talking about how it actually was pretty exciting, despite the fact that Kevin Harvick led 224 of the 312 laps for his 5th Phoenix win.
He was the cliche reference everyone's been using is freaky fast, and Harvick was definitely freaky fast on Sunday. And the race, I don't think it was probably the most exciting Phoenix race. The level of excitement there I kind of compare to the 2012 Cup Boy running through the infield. But the end of the race is pretty interesting, as about 3 or 4 restarts really put the race in anyone. It gave the race to really anyone, and Harvick was able to hold off a bunch of guys there to hold on to the victory.
Now, do you think that Earnhardt Jr. was a detriment on the outside on each of those restarts? I felt like he was kind of boxing in Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, I think he was. The outside definitely wasn't where he wanted it to be, and I think Logano probably in third had the best shot at Harvick, and one of the last ones he went down well. Like, if he hits it right there, if he goes for right there, he's going to push Harvick up a little, but he never got him too far. But so, yeah, Earnhardt, he couldn't really challenge Harvick as much as Logano could.
So the win by Kevin Harvick kind of makes a statement that, he's moved on very well from Richard Childress Racing, now it's Stewart-Haas Racing. But it kind of seems like he's doing a lot better than his teammates, and I know there's a lot of people talking about how leaps and bounds Stewart-Haas Racing is over last year, but I'm pretty sure if you take Harvick out of the equation, you're going to see a team that's kind of at the same level as it was last year.
Yeah, definitely. They have, besides Harvick, they've been sort of on a struggling level, and pretty sure he wasn't in from the greatest in Phoenix or at Daytona, but Phoenix really played the other teammates, Kurt Busch, who dropped his cylinder, I believe, late in the race, and then blew his engine towards the finish, and Dan Kirkpatrick was caught up in another wreck. So that team, besides their all-star powers, who's Rodney Childress and Kevin Harvick, they are in a really tight position as they just struggled to start the season.
Yeah, I was kind of interested by Tony Stewart out there because I felt like he was a non-factor, and then he played, I don't know if it was pit strategy or he was finally actually clicking and moving his way up, and then he just kind of dropped off near the end. I almost wonder if he's showing signs of rust from his time off or if he just doesn't have the communication down with his new crew chief.
I wouldn't rule out that his leg by the end of the race, he doesn't want to say it's his leg or anything. Did he get tired? Did he not really realize that the Phoenix what kind of pressure he would put on it in Phoenix with all the braking and stuff? I think that's probably another potential of something I kept him down on Sunday.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., he not only wins Daytona, but then comes out and finishes second place at Phoenix. Is he for real with this momentum kick that he's on?
I think so. Once you start off the season strong, it's really hard not to keep it up. So I think he's doing everything really well right now. That's going to probably put him in position to win a few more races by the time the summer months start kicking in.
Now, on the race broadcast itself, we have another entry in what I've deemed as the leaderboard turns. Coming new this week was intervals on the leaderboard. What did she make of that?
I think that's the one thing I probably was really looking at if Arjun was gaining on Harvick or if he was just losing ground lap after lap.
Now, when watching that, I couldn't figure out a rhyme or reason to when it showed up or when it disappeared or anything like that. Did you pick up anything?
It was just pretty random. I look up and it wouldn't be there, then I looked up 5 laps later and it was there. So I don't think there's any really point to when it came on or went off.
I wonder if they're going to keep tinkering with it or if that's the best they're going to do. I haven't seen anything on Twitter or anything.
Yeah, I bet they're not going to. I think they've made the point clear that they're not going to scrap it fuel picker, so I think they'll just probably keep adding little stuff all season long. But I think this is the best it's been so far.
Yeah, they're definitely making some strides, but they definitely have a little ways to go. One thing I noticed in this race, more so than I guess the Daytona 500, and maybe you can correct me if I just am oblivious to it, but it seemed like they spent the entire race sending Jeff Hammond off into the middle of nowhere, kind of like what they did last year.
Yeah, I noticed that this weekend. I didn't really see it at Daytona, I think, because of the rain and the whole delay. He probably didn't do as much as he was scheduled to do, but yeah, it was just a little strange to see him just wandering around different parts of the track. I don't know if he went more than one place, but I only remember him being up top turn 1 and during one of the restarts, and that view was I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, they had one where he was kind of near I think the outside wall or something like that, and basically he was talking, and I'm sure he was saying some very informative, great stuff, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. All I just heard was the cars going by. But I do give him credit because one of the things that I've been able to do at Watkins Glen when I've gotten to the race is I try to carve out a little bit of time while they're running practices and just go around the track and just view it from all the different spots instead of just being hunkered down into one, seat. It's nice during the practice times that it's kind of open to wherever you want to sit or wherever you want to go, and I mean that's a lot of fun for me as a fan to do that at the track.
When on Friday Watkins Glen weekend, I was trying to find a good spot to watch the practice session that was rain delayed and was later that day. The backstretch, actually, there's the crossover date where that area is on the backstretch. There's a open fence, but a fence that's pretty short, and you can see right over it. So I was sitting on the ground while the cars were coming right by, and you could see them with that perfect view. So that's, I think, one of the benefits of a road course, that there's a ton of different angles to watch the cars go around.
It seems like they really don't have a place for Jeff Hammond now that they have Michael Waltrip.
Yeah, I think maybe, I don't know, Michael Waltrip, everyone likes him in the booth, but maybe if they put Hammond up with him, that would be a pretty cool duo. Sort of a duo to talk about the race.
Something else that the TV stations have to figure out is the new knockout qualifying. Now, I'm going to lean on you a lot, Jason, for this little segment because I wasn't able to actually watch it, but I got to watch Twitter, and it was kind of hilarious how upset people were getting with the knockout qualifying coverage.
Apparently it was tape delayed by, Fox put an hour and a half segment in for the qualifying session. The session really only takes 45 minutes, so they've got to fill another half of their program. So they decided to put it on tape delay, which really ruined it for fans who like to stop and be live with stuff. And it got far behind, and the session ended, and Fox was just starting to show the second session, and that really made me mad because you would see all these spoilers, and it was hard to avoid on Twitter. And then Fox just doesn't show it live. And I think an event like that needs to be shown live. When ESPN showed the nationwide one at Daytona, it was live, and it was great to see. And because you didn't really get any spoilers beforehand, but Fox, I would suggest to them to just cut it down to a 60-hour broadcast and film it all live, because fans are just not going to they're not going to watch a tape delayed qualifying session, even if it is with a new system.
Yeah, wasn't it even advertised as being live, even though they got to being tape delayed?
Yeah, the little live word was below the Fox Sports symbol at the top of the screen, which was a complete lie. But
you would suggest not only cutting down the time, but do you think NASCAR could I don't know, reformulate this to be a little more TV friendly, or is that not the point of the knockout qualifying, you think?
I think NASCAR can't really do anything. They've done their part. Now Fox has to do their part and just cut down their TV window. They don't have to fill 90 minutes. Why not just do an hour of qualifying versus showing just extra time? If Fox Sports 1 wants all their coverage, and sometimes it seems to be non-NASCAR, why are they giving them an hour and a half when they really only need an hour? That just confuses me a little.
Yeah, I feel like Fox especially, but the other networks do it too, they give us more coverage than we probably need, and I'm going to turn this into especially the pre-race ceremony, or not the pre-race ceremony, but the pre-race show. You know, I'm going to go back in my time machine to the golden days where they would come to the broadcast team would say a few things about the track, the weather, what's going on. They'd interview maybe 2 drivers before the start of the race. Boom, you jumped right into it. Now it's usually like an hour-long program where there's specials being shown. You're getting like the top 10 getting interviewed. It just seems like overkill at times. I mean, I don't even watch them anymore.
I sort of like the pre-race shows, just like a little build-up to the race, and just jumping into the race. I don't think it gives like the build-up if fans are just, casual fans are just flipping through the channels and they stop at Fox to see their pre-race show and they catch an interview that makes it sound like something that we'll want to watch. I don't know. I think giving fans more thing to drive this. They said this in the pre-race show, so maybe I want to watch the race because that might be interesting to watch. And Kurt Busch found some trouble in Phoenix last weekend, but he announced some pretty exciting plans. He's going to be the first driver in a while to attempt the Memorial Day double when he'll run the Indianapolis 500 in the afternoon, and he'll get to Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600 that night. And I believe that's a really exciting storyline that we're going to be able to follow on Memorial Day. That's always a great day of racing, but now having Kurt Busch, tracking him in the Indy 500, then tracking his trip to Charlotte to get ready for that race, I think that's just a really cool deal he's put together, and it's going to be something I look forward to covering.
It's definitely a very cool deal, and it's a shame that it had to take this long to come back to happening. And it will definitely make me pay more attention to the Indy 500. I don't know about you, Jason, but I have it on, but I'm not watching every lap. I'm aware of what's going on.
I pretty much watch most of it too, but I will not intently watching follow what's going on and see like you do, just see the race and follow the major storylines and whatever's unfolding on the track.
Although I will say, like last year when A.J. Allmendinger was in it, I know he wasn't trying the double like Kurt Busch is, but I paid attention to it up until something happened and he got a lap down, and then I stopped caring. But it definitely drew me in. So I think this is beneficial for both NASCAR and IndyCar to have this little bit of a circus going on.
Yeah, I think you'll see an improvement in viewers for the Indy 500 as NASCAR fans are hearing Kurt Busch is running the race, so let's watch it and see what's happening and see how he does. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the logistics line up. What if it rains on Sunday in Indy and the race doesn't start till 2 or 3 in the afternoon? How does he get to Charlotte? Does he get to Charlotte? Will he leave Indy to come to race in Charlotte? So it's going to be, I think, exciting. I said that's for the exciting storyline to follow.
Here's some trivia for you, Jason. Who are the 3 other drivers who have attempted the double?
I heard Robbie Gordon was one. Tony Stewart probably did it once, and maybe John Andretti.
You got it. Those are the 3 that have done it.
I'd probably like to thank Marty and McGee because I listened to their show today, and they more than likely said a few of those guys.
Only Stewart's Tony Stewart's the only one who has completed all 1,100 laps. I think he finished 4th in the 500 and finished 6th in the 600, or vice versa on that.
And I heard Mark Martin, if Kurt has to stay in Indy or he has to do something in Indy while something for the 41 team going on, Mark Martin's going to be his release driver, which is going to be pretty cool to see Mark if he gets to get back in the car.
That would be cool. I mean, I hated for Kurt Busch to miss out on the race or something, but it would be cool to see Mark behind the wheel at least one more time.
Speaking of Mark Martin, Kurt Busch, all part of Stewart Haas Racing, and their boss man, Tony Stewart, may have made a second Twitter appearance over the last week. It's no one really asked him about it at Phoenix, which is why I don't know if it was real or not. The account that's labeled Tony Stewart retweeted a tweet from GoDaddy that tagged him at Tony Stewart in the tweet, and they also, Tony was also verified, I think, within last week, and that's really interesting coming after Dale Earnhardt Jr. joined Twitter just a few days earlier.
Isn't that amazing how fast these people get verified? And this is absolutely no knock on you, Jason, but we're probably never going to get verified, ever. and Dale Earnhardt Jr. tweets like two things and is verified, and Tony Stewart retweets something, or someone using Tony Stewart's account retweets something, and they get instantly verified.
I'm surprised no one asked him about that over at Phoenix. Like, felt like a lot of the media noticed it too. Tony Stewart, his account was active, and I wonder if that was even something, or it just happened to be a one quick thing, or maybe GoDaddy told him to do it, or something like that.
I wonder if, like, I don't want to say nobody cares, but it pales in comparison to what Junior's been doing on there.
Yeah, he's the tweeting fanatic over there.
I know, he's turning into a regular old Brad Keselowski. You better check him for his phone before he gets in his car.
Yeah, and it's like every time I go on Twitter, even in like 6 a.m. in the morning when I get up, there's a tweet from Dale, and he's tweeting different things, and I think he's officially become addicted, and I think he ranks up with Keselowski of a Twitter addiction. He just tweets things after things, and I bet he's always on it now. So I think he's another driver who probably will be tweeting a lot over the season.
Well, it's pretty funny. I strongly believe that he was a parody account or something, because he gets it. And not to say that he's not smart or anything like that, because, again, Marty and McGee talking about him, you know, he apparently builds his own computers, but, like, he knows how to respond and do all those things that a lot of people who have been on there for a while don't know how to do.
I think his PR people and his manager probably helped him out with that to teach him some quick lessons. So, and he probably took off of that. And he's been really strong, and he was strong. He's been strong on Twitter, and he's also been strong on the racetrack over the last week.
Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has finished first and second, but surprisingly, he's not first in our power rankings. This is kind of funny that Jason and I mostly agree with our top 3 power rankings here. So number 3 on my list is Joey Logano, and I'm going on the strength of his performance at Phoenix, that he didn't even fall outside of the top 5 other than pit stops, and he led a bunch of laps and just was there. At Daytona, he's put in a strong performance as well.
I went with Brad Keselowski for number 3. He had another strong performance at Phoenix. He backed up his Daytona run, and he sat on the pole and was up front for a good part of the race. He wasn't leading, but he was up in the top 5, top 6, and he's third in the points right now. So I think he's secretly performing very well at this time of the season.
And if he's not first, then he definitely has to be second. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr., who ties on both our rankings.
He was backed up, he's second because he had another stellar performance at Phoenix, and he would be first if only our number 1 guy, Kevin Harvick, hadn't destroyed the field and was really fast, and is expected to be fast once again at Las Vegas. So I think the number 4 team beats out Earnhardt Jr.'s team just because they have hit on something that could carry them really far in the next few months.
A couple different moves at Daytona. We could have been talking about Kevin Harvick, the point leader, but alas, he's behind Junior right now as it goes. So as you said, we're going to Las Vegas next for the Cobalt Tools 400.
And that is one race that you attended last year. So I'm going to take over quickly here. I'm going to ask Mike a few questions about his Vegas experience, because that's one of the fans from family tracks a lot of people talk about going to and loving it. So I want to find out some more about the Speedway. So I'm going to ask you first what you liked and didn't like about the Speedway.
What I liked about the Speedway was, unlike other tracks, it was very easy to find a hotel because it's Las Vegas and there's hotels everywhere in the casinos. So it was really cool that it was almost mindless trying to set up the travel plans because you didn't have to worry about trying to find a hotel that was at least within a couple hours of the track. It was also very easy to get to from the downtown strip area, so you could almost do whatever you wanted at night, and then it was darn close to just a straight line down the highway to get to the track. That was really nice. They have the Neon Garage, which is awesome, and I think we'll get to in a few minutes here, and that was another perk to the facility itself. I haven't been to an oval in a while, so to get back into actually being able to see 100% of the track as they go around was really cool to me. Things that I didn't like about the track was just normal things that you find with the track. When I tried to leave each day, it was a little hectic to try to get through the traffic, which is kind of weird because I was killing time after, whether it be practice or race, because I was still working on stuff in the media center, but it still seemed to be backed up, especially on the Friday after practice. You're going immediately into downtown Las Vegas, and everyone and their brother is getting out of work, or they're just flying in for the weekend at that point. Overall, I mean, I don't have too many cons when it comes to the track.
Like you mentioned earlier, the Neon Garage is a highlight of that track. They put it in a few years ago, and fans seem to really enjoy that. So could you tell us what the Neon Garage is and what fans can do?
Sure. The Neon Garage is not what it sounds like, because I literally thought that it was going to be like neon everywhere and all sorts of crazy lights and stuff, but instead what it is the garage area for the Sprint Cup Series, and got to make that clear because they put the nationwide guys off in the middle of nowhere, but Sprint Cup Series drivers, it was 4 kind of quadrants. I'm trying to describe this. It was 4 different areas, so you'd have like 10 or 12 cars that fans could either walk along the ground and look through glass directly at what was going on, so you're at eye level and with the drivers and all that, or you could go up some stairs and you would actually be above the action, but they'd have glass panels around so you could look down and watch them working on the car. Now also on the inside area, they'd have concession stands and places to buy your souvenirs, and then they had most of their they had like the Chevrolet display in the middle, the Sprint display, which was really cool. And so it just was fantastic. For me, I didn't want to be cooped up in the media center watching the race, so I ended up watching from on top of the garage area, which was great because you could see the cars going through tech, you could see them getting pushed out to the grid, you could watch the race, you'd only lose them for just a little bit where the media center actually stuck up, but you could keep on top of the action and feel like you were really a part of the race.
Were there other fans watching on top of the Neon Garage too, or were you one of the few people up there watching the race?
No, it was actually pretty packed up there. It was one of those situations where you kind of had to get a spot, and as soon as you moved or went to go get something to drink or something, 9 times out of 10 you lost your spot. So you kind of would have to shove your way back to the front and try to watch everything.
One question we have from Twitter, Kyle Magda asked, what was the best thing about Las Vegas? What's the overall top thing from the track?
I think from a fan's experience, it was the Neon Garage, because you could, like I said, you could not only watch them work on the cars, but then you could watch the cars go around. You didn't have to kind of pick and choose where you were. You could kind of get the best of both worlds. All you had to do was buy a ticket to the race, but then also just buy a pass to the Neon Garage, and you can just stay up there the entire time.
Sounds like a great experience you had last time, and I know fans will probably want to check that out. I know some people going out this weekend, so hopefully they enjoy all the amenities you elaborated about. And when you were there last year, you got to see an exciting show towards the end of the race put on by Matt Kenseth and Casey Kane. They're battles at the end of the race. That was the first time they had about 2 or 3 other races where they were the 2 drivers at the end going after the win. And Las Vegas started that also, where if they can do a repeat performance and Kenseth, if he can, pull off a back-to-back win at the track like Jimmy Johnson has done so many times, and Kenseth, I'm not too sure he can pull off that win. I think he hasn't got the greatest start to the season, but I think he has to build a little before he can go after the win really heavily. And Casey Kane, same thing. I don't think he's shown enough this year that will make him a contender this weekend, but if they both figure out something different this week than they have last race, then maybe they could go for another repeat performance of the last 2 races, but I don't really expect it this season.
Yeah, I wouldn't put money on either one of those drivers. What's fun when I was doing the research for the previews that I put out on Start and Park blog, Kenseth actually has 3 wins at the facility, which is the second most by any driver. Jimmy Johnson has the most at 4. I kind of forgot that. It's because he won his first 2 back-to-back in the early 2000s, I think 2003, 2004, and then he took about 10 years before he won again last year. I think he could pull it off, but I'm kind of leaning towards you. They didn't show much at Phoenix. At least they didn't have as bad a run at Phoenix as they did in the fall of last year. And Casey Kane, goodness, he rallied late in Phoenix from a terrible finishing position to, decent. But, yeah, I don't know what's up with both those teams.
Another headline-making story this weekend from the Gen 6 cars. It's first time back at the mile and a half this season in its sophomore year in existence, and there will be a test going on tomorrow in Las Vegas to really test out the new package NASCAR has for mile and a half. And I don't know if it's changed too much, but what I expect is maybe some of the racing will be a little different. I know back in December when they tested at Charlotte, they were testing out mile and a half packages, and the racing seemed to be like a little tighter and a little more groups, and not like restricted play, but more just a little closer than a driver pulling out and lapping half the field. So I'm not sure. I'm not saying it's going to be a big change this weekend. I really don't think there'll be much difference, but it'd be nice to see if the mile and a half racing will be improved this season.
When it comes to the Gen 6 car and the mile and a half racing, it'll be really interesting to see if they're going to test anything Thursday that'll be applied to this weekend, or if they're just thinking long-term for this. I could see them being a little bit more racy, but in the end, I think the cars will get strung out like they normally do, and you might have some battles here and there, but for the most part, I think it's going to be a pretty green race.
Yeah, I expect pretty much the same there. And you might see some little gambles for in Vegas, so they should be gambling, but at the end of the race, some fuel mileage gambles maybe to put some drivers in positions to get that when that could put them in the chase. And I think that's one of the things that could make the race a little more exciting, but like you said, I just see it being a classic Vegas mile and a half style of a race.
So you mentioned gambling. It is Vegas, like you said. If you were to put your chips on a driver, who would you put them on?
I haven't really thought about this week yet, but I'll probably just have to play it safe. And I was leaning to Kevin Harvick, but I think I'm just going to go with Jimmy Johnson. He always is strong. He's a leading driver with wins out in Vegas, and he will be good on Sunday. And he hasn't shown too much strength this season yet, but last weekend he got to the top 5 by the end of the race, so I expect him to be up front, and probably with a great shot at the victory by time the checkered flag falls.
I think dark horses would be any of the 4 drivers. I'm looking at Keselowski or Logano. They showed some strength at Phoenix, and then the Roush-Katirs usually do well at Las Vegas, but I'm going to ride the hot streak. I'm putting my chips on Kevin Harvick, who has 2 Nationwide Series wins at Las Vegas, has been shut out in the Sprint Cup Series, but I think he's just got it rolling right now, and I wouldn't want to get in front of him.
No, I think Rodney Childress is really, I think he's figured out something that not many others have figured out in garage right now. So you could see Harvick win this weekend and win next weekend, and then win next weekend. He's got some great tracks coming up. So I think everyone really really needs to watch out for that 4 car.
And that's exactly, if you think people are going to win and then take it easy, no, they want to keep winning to keep others out of the chase.
And Harvick will be doing it just that this weekend. And I'm going Johnson, going Harvick, but Harvick's my second pick, so I'm sort of saying he may win too, so any of those guys.
Well, I'll keep my eye on the Start and Park blog pick'em to see which one you actually go with. So we're both looking for Lady Luck this weekend in our picks, and we hope that your picks are as good as ours.
Thanks for listening to the Fan3Cast. For more NASCAR coverage, check out StartandParkBlog.com and Turn4RacingNews.com. Follow along on Twitter at Fan3Cast, at Start and Park Blog, and at NASCAR Jason.